Oh, baby, that sound that you just heard? Yes, that is a supercar. And I need you to understand something important right now before we go any further. That is your car, not a rich guy's car, not a someday when I make it car, your car. Because right now, well, you can get a genuine, no asterisks, people stopping, eardrum destroying supercar for less than a loaded pickup truck. And that is not an exaggeration. That is just math. I've owned an R8. I've been in the trenches with the sickest supercars that you can actually buy. And, well, I actually have this Mark V Supra, which isn't technically a supercar, but you can win it, plus $100,000 or a Shelby GT350. I pinned to it all in the first comment down below. Go get entered. Days left. Plus, I've linked to all these insane deals via Auto Tempest in the pinned first comment. So let's start with a cheap supercar that is cheaper than a Civic.
First up, Nissan GT-R R35, and we're starting here for a reason. When this car launched in 2008, it was benchmarked against Ferraris. It didn't just compete with them, it embarrassed them. Twin turbocharged 3.8 liter V6, the VR38 DETT, pushing 480 horsepower from the factory. All-wheel drive with launch control that felt like cheating. A dual clutch transmission so advanced it was genuinely shocking for its time. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, faster than Ferraris and McLarens that cost 3 or 4 times as much. They called it Godzilla. That name was not ironic. And here is where it gets genuinely insane. Early R35s, the ones that were benchmarking Italian exotics on the world stage, can now be found for around $50,000 to $60,000. Let that land. A Godzilla for 50 grand. And the modding potential? A simple ECU tune. And bolt-ons push it past 600 horsepower, go full send with turbos, fueling and cooling upgrades, and you are well into 4 figures of horsepower. There are GTRs making over 2,000 horsepower, obliterating hypercars at roll races. This is not a car, this is a platform. The catch, dual clutch transmission issues on early models are real. And when something breaks on a GTR, you are not paying Nissan prices, you are paying exotic prices. And it drinks premium fuel like it's a lifestyle. But if you want the car that rewrote the rulebook and still holds its own against modern exotics 2 decades later, the GTR isn't even a debate.
Wait, don't skip this. A Mark V Supra or a Shelby GT350 plus cash. One is boosted, one screams to redline. Click the pinned comment down below and grab 100 free entries before it ends. Good skill.
Second, Lamborghini Gallardo. I need a moment because this is a Lamborghini, a real Lamborghini, baby bull, best-selling Lamborghini in the brand's history, and you can own one for around $90,000. Before the Gallardo, Lamborghinis were wild, unpredictable, terrifying machines. The Diablo, the Countach, built for people who had crossed a threshold of sanity that most of us never reach. The Gallardo changed everything. It was Lamborghini finally making a car that was exotic and livable, and under the hood, the pre-LP version had a 5.0 liter naturally aspirated V10 at 500 horses, that iconic firing order revving to the moon and back. The sound is straight Formula One, not inspired by. Actually, 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, and once you put an aftermarket exhaust on one, you will wake up your entire neighborhood and your neighbor's neighborhood. Parts are mostly shared with Audi and Volkswagen, which means some maintenance items are shockingly cheaper than you'd think for a Lamborghini. The E-Gear automated single clutch transmission on some models, avoid that. Jerky, expensive, and kind of ruins it. Find one with the 6-speed gated manual and you have found something genuinely special. Those are going up. They're going up fast. If you've ever wanted to own a Lamborghini, this is the door. Go through it. Third, Audi. And look, I have to be honest with you, this is personal. I owned one, a gated manual, and I think about it regularly because the R8 is the everyday supercar, the one you can actually use. Tony Stark drove one, which tells you everything about what Audi achieved with this car visually, but beyond the looks, it shares the same chassis as the Lamborghini Gallardo. Same Italian bones, same mid-engine layout, wrapped in German reliability and German engineering precision. 2 flavors. The V8 is a 4.2 liter producing 420 horsepower, well-balanced, lighter, and owners report it as a genuinely reliable daily driver, some with 80,000 miles on the original clutch. The V10 is 525 horses and sounds like a symphony at full throttle. The 8,700 RPM redline on the V10 is something you experience in your chest. Owners on the forums are pretty clear. Nobody who bought the V10 has ever wished they bought the V8, but both are phenomenal. First generation R8 with a manual can now be found around for around 50 grand. That is a Buick Enclave. Let that humiliate you into action. The 1 year to avoid is the 2008. Oh yeah, first year, first production issues, early kinks. Anything 2009 and up is golden. Anything 2009 and up is golden. Buy one, cherish it, don't let it go. Fourth, meet Porsche 996 Turbo. Yeah, I know, the fried egg headlights. I own a 996, not a turbo, but I know what you're thinking when you look at it. Why does this thing look like my breakfast? And I get it. But here's what the 996 Turbo actually is underneath those polarizing headlights. A 3.6 liter twin turbocharged flat six pushing 415 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds, the exact same as the Ferrari F40, one of the greatest turbocharged supercars ever built. Number, and it gets better. The 996 Turbo uses the Mezger engine. If you know, hit the like button right now. The Mezger is legendary because it doesn't have the IMS bearing issues that haunt other 996 owners. It's just pure, filtered, reliable speed. And the all-wheel drive system puts down power as well as anything on the road. You want more? Upgraded turbos and intercoolers get you past 600 wheel horsepower. People are running the 996 Turbo to 1,500 horsepower on the runway racing circuit because the Porsche stability at high speeds is unmatched. The car you can find with 38,000 miles and the X50 package for around 50 grand, a car that was over $120,000 brand new. And it still keeps up with today's performance cars. That is value that doesn't have a word for it. Get past the headlights, buy the car. You'll stop seeing the headlights in about a week. Fifth, Ferrari 360 Modena. Let me be straight with you about the Ferrari 355 for a second. It is one of the most beautiful cars ever made, maybe the most beautiful. 9 out of 10 enthusiasts will tell you the 355 has the best exhaust note in Ferrari history. That other 10th person doesn't exist. We have confirmed this. But the 355 also has engine out timing belt service every 3 to 4 years. That alone can run you $10,000 or more. Skip it once and you have a catastrophic engine failure on a Ferrari. That is a particular kind of bad day. So enter the 360 Modena, Ferrari's first all-aluminum chassis, lighter, stiffer, better handling than the 355, a 3.6 liter V8 that revved to 8,500 revolutions per minute and produced 400 glorious Italian horses, way more reliable than the 355, way easier to live with. And with a 2B or Capristo exhaust, it still sounds like it's breathing the same air as an F1 car. Still gets the double takes, still makes people stop walking and just watch you drive past. You can find a Ferrari 360 Modena for around 65 grand. 65 grand for a Ferrari with the prancing horse on the nose, the F1 robotic transmission, the single clutch automated gearbox. Be very careful with that. If you don't know how to operate it, it will roast a clutch and cost you a fortune. Learn it or find a manual. But either way, this car is $65,000 of Italian emotion that will make every other car you've ever owned feel like preparation. Buy it. And the king, I got a Ferrari F355. I told you we'd come back because this list has to end here. The F355 is peak Ferrari, the 3.5 liter V8, 5 valves per cylinder. That's why it revs the way it does. That's why it sounds the way it does. That's why every single automotive journalist who has ever written about it runs out of adjectives. It rails to redline like an F1 car from the 90s. With an aftermarket exhaust, it is not a car sound anymore. It is music. Full stop. Straight music. Does it make 375 horsepower? Yes. Is that the lowest number on this list? Also, yes. Does that matter? Absolutely not, because you don't buy a Ferrari F355 to drag race. You buy it for the experience, the sound, the gated manual shifter clicking through its gates with mechanical precision, the Pininfarina body that still, in 2025, makes people forget to breathe for a second. This is peak Ferrari. This is the car that defined what a Ferrari is supposed to feel like. And I know this sounds made up. You can find one for around $70,000. A Ferrari F355 6-speed manual, 27,000 miles, sold for just under 70 grand. For a car that looks like that, sounds like that. Is that? Yes, the maintenance is real. Yes, the belt service is serious money every few years. Yes, this is not a car you buy and ignore. But if you find a well-maintained example and you're willing to take care of it, the F355 is one of the best sounding and most beautiful cars on the planet, available at a price that should be illegal. It's not a car, it's a religion. A few cars I would not touch. Early Dodge Viper under 6 figures. I love a Viper, but without the electronic safety nets of modern cars, it will collect you if you're not ready. Any cheap Lamborghini Murcielago by Paz. The V12 engine maintenance will find every dollar you have and some you don't. And any Ferrari that comes with just needs a belt service in the listing. Walk away, sprint away, leave that parking lot at speed.
Okay guys, here's the real talk. A supercar is not about being rich. A supercar is about knowing where the value is hiding before everyone else figures it out. 5 years ago, nobody was talking about the R8 at 50,000 bucks. Everybody is talking about it now. The GT-R at 60 grand is already a deal that is closing. The F355 at 70 is something that future collectors are going to talk about the way that we talk about buying a Porsche 911 for 12 grand in 2005. You're not buying a car, you're buying a piece of automotive history. You're buying the thing that people built careers trying to afford, and you're doing it right now while the window is still open. So tell me down below, if I handed you 100 grand or less and said pick one from the list, what are you buying? Because I already know what I'm doing. It involves a phone call to a Ferrari dealer and a very uncomfortable conversation with my accountant. Like, subscribe, and remember to go to Win This Ideal Car to get entered to win this Fast and Furious inspired Mark V Supra or a Shelby GT350 plus $100,000 in bonus cash. There's days left with this giveaway. I can't believe I'm giving them away. They are insane. I'm Brad Danger. Like, subscribe, check out some of these ideal vids over here, and promise me one thing: keep living the ideal lifestyle.